How's it going, guys? I decided to make this video about my Mendini Euphonium after almost 2 years of me owning it. In case you're wondering whether you should get it or not, in this video I will review some of the things, how it held up after almost 2 years, some drawbacks, and so forth. So this is probably student/intermediate level euphonium. It's very good for almost $500. You get a case, you get a bunch of useless accessories like the gloves and the metronome and tuner, a mouthpiece, and this thing. It looks great, nice and shiny. And I can't say enough good things about Mendini. I think it's a great company that makes inexpensive and reliable instruments. So let me go over some of the things. This is a 4-valve euphonium. Some euphoniums have only 3, and usually when you have only 3, that euphonium is very, very inexpensive, like your beginner type. When you have 4 valves like this on the top, it's usually an intermediate euphonium, and it's uncompensating euphonium. And when you have the 4th valve on the side, typically that's your more expensive, high-end, professional instrument. So what is, first of all, the 4th valve? By the way, in this video I'll be using the B flat note naming as a trumpet player would, because I am a former trumpet player and I read euphonium in treble clef. By the way, there are 2 different ways of writing and reading the notes for sheet music for the euphonium. If you are an American musician, you read it in transposing bass clef. If you're from the UK, you're reading it in B flat. So what this means is, if you put trumpet music in front of me and I play it the way I play it with the same fingering, it will come out an octave lower. So as a result, this note, a trumpet player would call that an F. A euphonium player from the United States of America will call it E flat. So there are 2 sets of music for the same exact instruments that band arrangers provide. So anyway, 4th valve, what does it do? 4th valve is the same thing as 1 and 3, just more in tune. So you have the 4th valve, and it's slightly lower, slightly more in tune. Here we have a tuning slide for the 4th valve, and it's not, unfortunately, tuned correctly. That means that if you want to play in tune, you have to pull it out slightly. But the problem that we clearly can see is when you're playing it, this tuning slide is digging into your rib cage or your stomach. So as a result, what I did is I taped it. Not the most sightliest of solutions, but it works. On other intermediate instruments, the 4th valve tuning slide is located on the front. So it's away from your stomach, and you don't have the same problems. You can tune it without worrying about pulling it out or pushing it in. So, 1 and 3 combinations are better in tune with the 4th valve. Sometimes on some horns it's on here, on the side, or your C sharp. And then you can use it to go down into the pedal tone register that some composers use. So and on an instrument like this, pedal tone notes are off almost by half a step, almost by a semitone. So if you want to play an F below the staff, you have to play finger an E and just kind of bend it up slightly. On a compensating euphonium, there are actually two sets of tubes. So when you're pressing the fourth valve on the side and these three valves, the air goes through a different path so that those lower pedal tone notes are more in tune, that there's more length of tubing to make them more in tune. But in my opinion, those few pedal tone notes are not really worth it because they happen very, 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 very rarely in written music. Very rarely. And again, if you have in your section, if you have a 3-valve euphonium player, they have no way of playing those notes anyway. So there's that. So what else? This instrument, the valves are very surprisingly very, very good. I just like with any instrument, I broke them in. I let them kind of wear themselves in. You clean them, clean off the residue, oil them, and any instrument requires that. Any brand new instrument. My Bach trumpet had the same thing. Another thing is you may need to do on brand new instruments, you may need to stretch out your springs. So sometimes your valve does not come up, you just simply slightly elongate the spring, and that solves that issue. I had to do it on my Bach trumpet as well. So just slightly stretch it out, and that should solve it. The next thing is the felts. These are replacement felts, which you could buy for next to nothing. I got them replaced as soon as, I guess, 2 months or something after getting this instrument because they just deteriorated. They were non-existent. And then finally, the last thing that kind of sucks about this, it's also very, very minor, a very minor replacement. These corks. So this, I replaced it with a synthetic cork because the natural cork also deteriorated within a year. So $5, it seals perfectly. So the main tuning slide spit valve works just fine. This one, like, see, this one is more substantial, but when it goes, I have a whole set of corks to replace it with. Very inexpensive, like negligible. So there you go, guys. Is it a good horn? Yes. Does it sound good? Yeah. It's all, you know, it's all in your chops. I think it's great. I enjoy playing it in the wind ensemble, and for a beginner or intermediate, I think this is fantastic. Yeah, highly recommended. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. The mouthpiece it came with was like a beginner type, so I replaced it with a knockoff of your typical 6.5 AL-L. It's like your Bach 3C of euphoniums. It was like $20 as opposed to $70. Sounds great, works for my lips. And just in general, a general observation, I feel like euphonium is easier for me personally to play. I don't get as fatigued. I have better range. Higher notes are not killing me. And the only thing it requires a lot more air compared to a trumpet player. It's just big instrument. There you go. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.